Bugatti didn't think that we were going to be able to separate this car in half.
Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment to be able to do that.
Amazon and Netflix, two of the world's most powerful streaming giants, are now locked in a battle over Matt Armstrong, the Leicester mechanic who turns wrecked supercars into global viral events. What started in a small garage with broken cars has grown into a story followed by millions across the world. But now, the stakes appear to be rising, as whispers of a bidding war spread through the industry, and Bugatti is said to be watching closely. So, how did a garage hobby turn into a global power struggle? This is the story. A life that started far from the spotlight. Long before global audiences, streaming platforms, or multi-million-pound hypercars, Matt Armstrong's journey began in a small garage in Leicester. It was a simple workshop filled with oil-stained floors, scattered tools, and the steady sound of engines being taken apart and rebuilt. But for Matt, it was never just a workplace. It was where curiosity turned into hands-on learning, where skills slowly grew, and where the quiet foundation of everything he would later become was carefully built over time. He grew up around that world. His father owned a garage, so Matt was always close to engines and tools from an early age. He didn't learn through books or classrooms. Instead, he picked up knowledge by watching, listening carefully, and gradually getting hands-on experience with real mechanical work. At first, it was simple curiosity. Then it became hands-on learning. He started holding tools, helping with small tasks, and trying to understand how engines worked. Things often went wrong, but that was part of it. Bit by bit, he began to see how machines came together and why they failed. Over time, this built something deeper than skill. It built instinct, a natural way of thinking, where broken things became problems to solve instead of things to fear. But cars were not his first path. As a teenager, BMX took over his life. What started as a hobby became serious competition. He trained constantly, traveled across Europe, and soon became a professional rider. For a while, it looked like his future was already set in sport, built around travel, speed, and performance. Then, everything changed in Germany. During a championship event, a crash ended that path. He landed badly and dislocated his shoulder. At first, it looked like a minor injury, something temporary, but it never fully healed. The damage remained, and slowly his riding career faded away before it had truly reached its peak. There was no big ending or farewell, just a quiet stop. And after that, life didn't replace it with anything clear. No direction, no plan, no certainty. Only uncertainty, and a long, uncertain stretch where the future was completely unknown. Matt was a BMX rider with a strong interest in car repair until a shoulder injury forced him to step away from the sport. But what happened after BMX ended? Did he return fully to garage work or try something else first? And what moment eventually changed his life in a positive direction? Let's find out. The return that was not planned. After BMX came to an end, life didn't suddenly open a new door. Instead, it shifted into survival mode. Matt went back to what he knew best, the garage world. But this time, he wasn't there as someone with a clear future or rising potential. He was just trying to find his footing again, trying to figure out what came next when the path he had trained for no longer existed. Work was not stable or glamorous. He took whatever he could get. Food delivery jobs late at night, retail shifts during the day, bartending when money was tight. It wasn't about building a career. It was about staying afloat, keeping life moving, and buying time while everything else remained uncertain. Every job filled a gap, but none of them gave direction. During this period, YouTube existed only in the background. It wasn't a business or a plan. It was just a space to upload BMX clips and small moments from his riding life. No structure, no strategy, no expectation that it would become anything more. Then came a simple turning point, the Audi TT. It was a damaged car, nothing special at first glance. Most people would have written it off without thinking twice. But instead, Matt made a different choice. He bought the wreck back for a small amount and decided to rebuild it himself. not in a professional workshop setup, but with what he had around him. And this time, he decided to film the entire process. That single project changed everything. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't edited to look clean or easy. The mistakes were left in. The problems were shown instead of being hidden. Things went wrong on camera, and nothing was forced to look simple. But that was exactly why people stayed. They weren't just watching a car being fixed. They were watching real problem-solving unfold step by step. From that moment, the channel slowly began to shift. One project led to another. Bigger cars came in, more damaged, more expensive, and more complicated. The risks grew, but so did the audience. And without planning it, Matt was no longer just rebuilding cars. He was showing people what it actually looks like to figure things out when nothing goes smoothly. The moment Matt filmed the Audi repair on YouTube, viewers began staying glued to his content. But how far did that attention really go? Was it only unknown fans that are admiring his work? Or were bigger industry players quietly watching his progress as well? If so, who are the major forces paying close attention to his projects, and why? Let's find out. When a garage story becomes a global media prize. As Matt Armstrong's audience grew into the tens of millions, something shifted around him that went far beyond YouTube views or viral moments. His story started to attract attention from major streaming platforms, drawn not just to the content, but to the scale, emotion, and real-life drama unfolding in every rebuild. Netflix was seen as one of the first to take notice. The idea was simple, but powerful. A real-life creator, building and rebuilding extreme machines in real time, with real risks, real money, and real outcomes. It already had the structure of a documentary without needing to be written like one. It was unfolding naturally, episode by episode, in front of a global audience that kept returning to see what would happen next. At the same time, Amazon, through Prime Video, was also said to be watching closely. But the interest there was not just about the content itself. It was about something bigger. The scale of attention surrounding it. A global audience was forming around a single creator, without traditional marketing, without television promotion, and without a scripted format holding it together. That kind of reach is rare, and in modern media, it is powerful. Nothing about any formal deal has been publicly confirmed. But even without a confirmation, the interest alone says something important about where entertainment is heading. The value of storytelling is shifting. Real-world, ongoing narratives are becoming more important than scripted shows that are planned months or years in advance. Audiences are no longer only interested in polished fiction. They are also drawn to real people, real risks, and real outcomes that unfold in unpredictable ways, especially when those stories already have global attention without needing traditional promotion. In this kind of environment, competition is no longer just about who can produce the best show or the most expensive series. It becomes about who gets to hold attention at scale, and who has the power to shape how that attention is delivered, structured, and owned. And in that space, a garage rebuild in Leicester is no longer just a personal journey. It becomes part of a much larger question about where modern storytelling is really heading, and who ultimately controls the stories millions of people choose to follow. Amazon and Netflix are reportedly showing interest in bidding for Matt Armstrong's story. But which project sparked this attention toward the YouTuber, and how challenging was it for Armstrong? Now, let's uncover the Bugatti Chiron rebuild that turned a simple project into a battle between independence and control. When a Bugatti entered the garage. The moment everything changed from a growing YouTube creator to global attention didn't come from Leicester or from any of his earlier builds. It came from somewhere unexpected, Miami. A wrecked Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport had appeared in the salvage system. It was one of the rarest hypercars ever made, built in extremely limited numbers and valued in the millions. After a serious crash, it had been written off and pushed into a world where damaged exotics are usually forgotten, sold for parts, or left untouched because the risks are simply too high. Most people wouldn't even consider looking at it. The cost alone would stop them. The complexity would scare off even experienced builders. And the consequences of failure would make the project feel almost impossible to justify. But Matt made a different decision. He didn't approach it like a fantasy or a publicity move. He approached it the same way he always had, as a problem waiting to be understood. The same mindset that started in a small garage years earlier was now being applied to one of the most advanced cars on the planet. Once the project began, everything changed in scale almost immediately. This was no longer just another rebuild for content. It became something people around the world started paying attention to. A real question formed around it. Could a hypercar at this level even be repaired outside the official manufacturer network? As the work progressed, the challenges didn't stay simple. Access to parts became difficult. Certain systems were locked down. Information that would normally guide a repair was either limited or controlled. Every step forward seemed to come with new limits attached. And slowly, the project stopped feeling like just mechanical work. It became something bigger. Not just a rebuild, but a quiet struggle between independence and control. On one side, a creator trying to solve a problem his own way. On the other hand, the strict boundaries of a manufacturer are built to protect how that machine was meant to exist in the world. What started as a salvage auction find in Miami had now turned into something far more complicated. A story the automotive world could no longer ignore. The Bugatti rebuild caught the attention of everyone who had been following Armstrong for years. But what is so exceptional about his approach to the Bugatti? Was there a discovery during the rebuild that made people begin to appreciate his work and consider collaborating with Matt? If so, what could it be? Let's find out. Inside the untouchable machine. As the Bugatti Chiron Pour Sport was slowly taken apart and studied in detail, something unexpected started happening. Viewers watching the rebuild closely began to notice things that were never part of the usual image people had of hypercars. These were machines that the world often sees as perfect, built with extreme care, rare materials, and almost no connection to everyday cars. But as parts were removed, replaced, or compared during the repair process, different details began to appear. Some components looked surprisingly ordinary. Not everything inside matched the idea of a fully exotic handcrafted machine from start to finish. In certain moments, parts connected to wider Volkswagen Group systems came up in discussions, especially when replacements were being searched for or when comparisons were made to solve problems in the rebuild. One of the most talked about details was an accelerator pedal made from molded plastic. Another was the airbags, which appeared similar in design to those found in much cheaper, mass-produced vehicles. These observations didn't come from a technical teardown meant to criticize the car. They came naturally from the repair process itself, as each layer of the vehicle was opened and understood step by step. None of this meant the Bugatti was suddenly simple. The engineering behind it was still extremely advanced, and its performance capabilities remained on another level entirely. But something else had shifted quietly in the background: perception. The idea people had of what this car represented started to change. For years, hypercars like this had existed in the public mind as untouchable symbols of perfection. Machines built far away from ordinary engineering, almost impossible to question or fully understand. But seeing familiar-looking parts inside something so expensive created a different feeling. It made the car feel less distant, less mythical, and more connected to the wider automotive world than many expected. And perception spreads quickly, faster than explanations, faster than engineering details, faster than any official clarification. What had once felt like a flawless, untouchable machine slowly started to feel more familiar, and that small shift in how people saw it carried weight far beyond the walls of the garage where the rebuild was taking place. The discovery by Armstrong, which made the details of the Bugatti seem exaggerated, caught the attention of Amazon. But what would an Amazon deal mean for Matt Armstrong? How could it shape his career if it succeeds? Now, let's delve into the Amazon effect and the fight over who really controls Matt Armstrong's next chapter. When a garage channel outgrows YouTube. What started as a personal channel showing car rebuilds has grown into something much bigger and more complex. These are no longer simple projects done in a garage. Each build now involves rare hypercars, Heavy engineering work, international transport, and costs that can reach hundreds of thousands of pounds. It has quietly become a full production-level operation. And this is where Amazon enters the picture. Not just as a sponsor or a platform, but as a system that could support the entire structure around the content. At Amazon's scale, funding would no longer depend on one project at a time. Instead, rebuilds could be backed through multi-million-pound production plans where the financial risk is carried by a large corporate system, not a single creator. That alone would remove one of the biggest pressures on Matt: the personal cost of every risky project. But the change is not only about money. Amazon also brings global infrastructure, a network built for logistics, legal handling, and worldwide supply chains. In real terms, this means sourcing rare car parts faster, dealing with customs and salvage laws more easily, and solving shipping problems that normally slow down complex builds. What once took weeks or months could become a smooth, organized process inside a larger system. The way the story is shared would also change. Rather than relying on algorithms and viral trends, it would move to Prime Video as a planned global series designed for worldwide audiences. Financially, income would become more stable through production funding and licensing agreements, while also creating opportunities for merchandise and broader retail growth supported by Amazon's global reach and infrastructure. But the biggest change is not money or logistics, it is control. Because once a system like Amazon enters at this level, the question is no longer whether the next build can happen. It becomes about who ultimately shapes the scale, direction, and ownership of the story. An Amazon deal for Matt Armstrong could be a major opportunity that projects him far beyond where he is right now. But would such a deal distract him from focusing on the Bugatti rebuild, or has he remained committed to finishing what he started? Let's uncover the astonishing details. Inside the unstoppable garage. While speculation continues to grow outside the garage, nothing inside it slows down or changes direction. The talk about streaming platforms, corporate interest, and media attention exists in the background, but it does not affect the daily reality of the work being done. The Bugatti rebuild is still ongoing, piece by piece, with no shortcuts and no special treatment. Alongside it, other projects are already in progress or waiting their turn. Each one brings its own unique set of challenges, but the approach stays the same every time. A problem is found, it is carefully studied, a solution is tested, and small steps of progress are made. Then the process repeats again and again in real time, with nothing hidden from the camera. Outside the garage, the automotive world itself is also going through change. Big companies are dealing with financial pressure, shifting ownership, and internal restructuring that quietly reshapes the brands behind these machines. The industry that produces the cars being rebuilt here is not as stable as it once appeared. Decisions made in boardrooms are slowly changing what these brands will look like in the future, even if most viewers never see that side of the story. But none of that changes what is happening inside the workshop. The momentum remains steady. One man continues to take apart and rebuild machines that most people believe should never be repaired outside official factory environments. Cars that are seen as too complex, too expensive, or too delicate to touch are being opened, understood, and brought back to life step by step. And the world is watching it happen in real time. Not in highlights, not in summaries, but in full, unfiltered detail. Every setback, every breakthrough, every uncertain moment included. That story is not just about cars being fixed. It is about watching problems being solved in front of you, without edits hiding the difficulty behind them. And now, as attention continues to build, and the scale of the audience keeps growing, a new question quietly forms in the background. Because if this momentum continues, that small garage may no longer remain just a personal space shown on YouTube, but could grow into something far bigger, watched and shaped on a global stage. It could evolve into something far larger, a place where real engineering work, global attention, and modern storytelling merge into one continuous, unfolding narrative that reaches far beyond what it originally started as. So, what do you think about Amazon's interest in Matt Armstrong? Would he do better with the partnership? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.